Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches, which are happening on Saturday, December 24, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. Also, check out our perks and join the High Stakes membership. Joining the High Stakes membership is easy, is cheap, but it will help a lot in the growth process of this channel. Plus check out our Patreon in the link down below if you want access for our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Going back to our video, we will give you 2 betting picks for each game, a team pick and a total pick based on facts and detailed explanation. Make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comments section below. Las Vegas Raiders vs Pittsburgh Steelers. The Las Vegas Raiders head into this matchup 6-8 this year. In their last contest, the Raiders took on the Patriots and took home the win by a score of 30-24. Josh Jacobs led the offense in rushing for the Raiders, with 22 attempts for 93 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. Keelan Cole left with an average of 25.0 yards per reception by tallying 50 yards on 2 catches. Derek Carr finished 20-38 with 231 yards passing and 3 TDs. He had a QB rating of 86.6 and ended the game with 1 interception. Against the rush, the Raiders conceded 206 yards on 32 tries, which calculates to 6.4 yards per rush surrendered. Las Vegas conceded 13 completions on 31 attempts for 112 yards and a completion percentage of 41.9%. For the game, they ran 64 plays which gave them a total of 308 yards. The Las Vegas Raiders ran the ball 23 times and accounted for 97 yards, earning them an average of 4.2 yards per attempt. The Steelers step onto the field holding a record of 6-8 for this year. In their last game, the Steelers went home victorious with a score of 24-16 when they played the Panthers. Mitchell Trubisky finished the game with 179 yards on 17.20 seconds through the air, while his quarterback rate was 100.4. He didn't throw any interceptions, and his average yards per attempt was 8.1 yards. Deontay Johnson was featured in the passing game for the Steelers, catching 10 balls for 98 yards, 9.8 yards per reception. The Steelers finished the game with a total of 325 yards on 68 plays, 4.8 yards per play. Pittsburgh ran the ball for 3.5 yards per tote, finishing with 156 yards on 45 attempts. Pittsburgh surrendered 16 attempts on the ground for 21 yards, 1.3 yards per rush. The Steelers' pass defense conceded a completion percentage of 60.9%, surrendering 188 yards on 14 out of 23 through the air. We can talk numbers for sure in this one. Pittsburgh has the 7th best red zone defense in the NFL and battle a Raiders team that 28th in red zone offense. The Steelers' 7th ranked rush defense should be able to contain the Raiders and a banged up Jacobs in this matchup as well. Pittsburgh also has the advantage in some important intangibles such as penalties and turnovers. Las Vegas is next to last in the NFL in penalties per game, while Pittsburgh is a more respectable 17th. Pittsburgh is a middle-of-the-pack 15th in the NFL in turnover differential, while Las Vegas is just 23rd in turnover differential. Beyond that, the emotion of the night should play in the Steelers' favor. Playing in memory of a true Steelers legend in Franco Harris, expect Pittsburgh to be playing at a high level. Our first pick is Pittsburgh minus 2.5 points. I am going to hammer the under 38.5 points in this game, as I see the weather making it very difficult for each team to consistently move the ball. Whichever team runs the ball more efficiently will win this game. The Steelers' run defense is also great, as they are surrendering the 7th least amount of rushing yards per game. They will do everything they can to stop Jacobs and this Raiders rushing attack, as they won't allow the Raiders to score enough points to reach the over. Now, the Steelers are going to score enough points to cover this spread, but they won't score enough to push this total over the number. They are only scoring the 27th most points per game, and this Raiders defense has been better against the run. Pittsburgh will struggle at different parts in this game, as neither team will score enough points to push this total over the number. Our second pick is to take under 38.5 points. Philadelphia Eagles vs Dallas Cowboys. In terms of putting points on the board, the Philadelphia Eagles have an average of 29.4 ppg. As a team, they hold an average of 158.6 yards in the run game, giving them a rank of 4th in the league. The Eagles have earned 5,517 total yards over the course of this year. Philadelphia has tallied 156 first downs as an offense, and they have committed 76 infractions for 593 yards. They have turned the ball over 13 different times, 5 interceptions and 8 fumbles lost. When it comes to notching touchdowns, Philadelphia has earned 22 touchdowns through the air and 30 touchdowns via the ground. The Cowboys head into this matchup 10-4 for this season. When they last stepped on the football field, the Cowboys took a loss by a score of 40-34 against the Jaguars. Dak Prescott, 3 TDs, finished the game with 256 yards on 23 30ths through the air, while his quarterback rate was 107.1. He had 2 interceptions, and his YA was 8.5 yards. CeeDee Lamb was the leading receiver for the Cowboys, snagging 7 footballs for 126 yards, 18.0 yards per reception. Tony Pollard carried the football 19 times for 75 yards, finishing the contest with 3.9 yards per carry for Dallas. The Cowboys finished the contest with a total of 397 yards, and they ran 74 plays, 5.4 yards per play. Dallas rushed for 3.8 yards per attempt, finishing the contest with 154 yards on 41 carries. Dallas allowed 27 run attempts for 192 yards, 7.1 yards per carry. The Cowboys secondary conceded a completion rate of 64.3%, surrendering 311 yards on 27 for 42 passing. These two teams are neck and neck in several categories. The Eagles have the best turnover differential in the NFL, Dallas falls in at number 2. The Eagles' pass defense is the best in football, Dallas is 3rd in the NFL. The Eagles' red zone offense is number 1 in the NFL, while the Cowboys are number 2. The Eagles have the number 2 scoring offense in the NFL, while Dallas has the number 3 scoring offense. Philadelphia is number 1 in sacks per game, while the Cowboys check in at number 2. In such a tight matchup, the loss of Hurts is enormous. Not having him in the running game will simplify the Cowboys' approach to stopping the run, particularly critical with the loss of Van Der Esch. Not having Hurts in the passing game takes away the threat of him scrambling and doesn't force Dallas to install a spy on defense to defend against Hurts' mobility. Dallas's two-headed rushing attack of Ezekiel Elliott and Joseph Pollard should be able to do some damage and allow Prescott to execute play action. The Cowboys will have more motivation in this one as well, with Philly all but having sewn up the division and the best record in the conference. Our first pick is to take Dallas -2 points. The Eagles and the Cowboys are great passing teams, and both teams also have excellent pass defenses, with Dallas being ranked at number 2 and the Eagles ranked at number 5 for their passing defense on the road. Minshew will keep it respectable, but without the horsepower of Jalen Hurts, the air game isn't completely opened up. Look for the points to be suppressed, with a tough Eagles defense holding down Prescott as well. The game will key largely on the ground, especially for the Eagles. Look for a slower-paced game and a different look all around. Our second pick is to go under for the win. Washington Commanders vs San Francisco 49ers. The Washington Commanders head into this matchup 7-6-1 for this year. The last time they stepped on the gridiron, the Commanders stepped onto the field against the Giants and went home with a loss by a final score of 20-12. Taylor Heineke finished 17-29 with 249 yards passing and 1 touchdown. He had a quarterback rating of 98.2 and ended the game without throwing a pick. Jahan Dotson held an average of 26.3 yards per catch by accumulating 105 yards on 4 receptions. Brian Robinson Jr. led the offense in rushing for the Commanders with 12 carries for 89 yards, 7.4 yards per carry. Overall, they tallied 58 plays, which gave them 387 yards. The Washington Commanders ran the football 26 different times and accounted for 159 yards, earning them an average of 6.1 yards per tote. In the running game, the Commanders gave up 128 yards on 30 attempts, which is an average of 4.3 yards per run surrendered. Washington gave up 21 completions on 32 attempts for a total of 160 yards and a completion rate of 65.6%. The Commanders have earned 4,697 total yards for the year. Washington has recorded 151 first downs as a team, and they have committed 79 infractions for 720 yards. When it comes to scoring, Washington has earned 20 passing touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns. They have turned the football over 17 times, 11 interceptions and 6 fumbles lost. As a team, they are averaging 126.9 yards in the run game, which is 11th in the league. In terms of scoring points, the Washington Commanders hold an average of 18.9 points per contest. The 49ers head into this game 10-4 for this year. In their last game, the 49ers took home the win by a final score of 21-13 when they played the Seahawks. Christian McCaffrey ran the ball 26 times for 108 yards, finishing the contest with 4.2 yards per attempt for San Francisco. George Kittle was one of the featured targets for the 49ers, snagging 4 throws for 93 yards, 23.3 yards per catch. Brock Purdy, 2 TDs, finished the contest with 217 yards on 17-26 through the air, while his QB rating was 117. He didn't toss any picks, and his average yards per pass attempt was 8.3 yards. San Francisco surrendered 14 running attempts for 70 yards, 5.0 yards per rush. The 49ers' passing defense allowed a completion percentage of 70.5%, relinquishing 207 yards on 31 for 44 through the air. The 49ers finished the contest with 381 yards, while running 61 plays, 6.2 yards per play. San Francisco rushed the ball for 5.0 yards per carry, totaling 170 yards on 34 carries. I understand not many want to go against the 49ers right now. As of Thursday afternoon, 90% of the tickets and 88% of the cash for this game were on San Francisco, according to pregame.com, and Washington has popped up as a 7.5-point dog on several sportsbooks and at least a 7-point dog everywhere. I, however, like the Commanders here. Washington was on a 6-0-1 run against the spread, which included a road win over the Eagles, prior to failing to cover or win their last 2 games against the Giants. Washington has been solid on both sides of the ball recently, and the 49ers are coming into the game a little banged up and with less to play for. Although I do expect Brock Purdy to start, he is still a rookie quarterback, and as more film of him becomes available, you have to expect regression at some point. I'm not saying the 49ers won't win this game, but the Commanders will be more competitive than the public and even most experts are expecting. Our first pick is Washington Commanders plus 7.5 points. The 49ers have the top-ranked defense in the league, and Nick Bosa is now the front-runner for Defensive Player of the Year. Washington's offensive line has played better since the beginning of the year, but the Commanders' line and defense are still very mediocre. Washington scored just 12 points last week against a bad Giants defense, and the Commanders have struggled all year offensively against good defenses with Wentz and Heineke. Washington has focused on running the ball more now that Robinson is fully healthy, but the 49ers are a top-run defense. Washington's defense has also been solid since some early season struggles, and the Commanders' front 7 should be able to keep the 49ers from blowing Washington out. Our second pick is under 38 points.